All right. Hey, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Obviously, Saturday. I know some of you have different plans, but I'm glad you can join us today because I would much rather be hosting our annual Easter egg hunt today, but we need to talk about what's going on in Venus anyway. One of the things that we really want to focus on is our community. Now, I've got Mayor Burgess and Superintendent Hopper here, and just correct me if I'm wrong, but since we last talked, I don't think either of you have gotten a degree in microbiology, epidemiology, economics, anything like that, right? Nothing like that, right? No,
sir.
Yeah, okay.
No.
So all those things, those are off the table here. We're talking really the things that apply to Venus. What about our situation, our schools, our community? How can we come together? What do we need to do as a community to move together as Venus? So I just want to go ahead and encourage you. You can drop a comment either here on Facebook or on the YouTube. You can drop one there. If you have a question, that'll be a great opportunity. We can ask those to them, and we'll try to get through as many as we can there. But as we're starting off, I just want to start off by asking each of you the question. We'll start with you, Mayor Burgess. What are the one or particularly two things that the city of Venus wants the residents to know right now?
Well, I just want them to know that everybody's doing what they're doing to try to make everybody as safe as possible. But I don't want them to be fearful or panic. We're going to get through this together, and I think they've done a wonderful job keeping the numbers in Venus and even Johnson and Ellis County real low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so in Venus, correct me if I'm wrong, right now we have just 2 confirmed cases, but those have self-quarantined in that. So am I correct on those?
Well, one was a case of somebody that worked here but did not live in
Okay.
Venus or Ellis County, and so it's not being reported as a Johnson or Ellis County case. The other one was a Johnson County case, and they are self-quarantined. And I did speak with the wife earlier today, and her husband hasn't run fever in 2 days, and is starting to breathe better. So, and none of the rest of the family are showing any symptoms at the moment. So, very good news.
Well, amen. I am excited to hear that because that's one of those things, especially it's a little different when you're hearing about things in New York. It's a lot different when you're hearing about things right here where you live, people in your community there. So we'll continue to pray for them. Now, Mr. Hopper, same question. What are those 1 or 2 things that the school needs, us, particularly parents, to know right now?
Well, this is a very difficult time for everybody. We know that the anxiety rate is extremely high right now. We have people that are losing their jobs. We have people that are have the sickness in their homes. And we have people who, if they're not affected directly, are certainly being affected indirectly with family members that have been hit with this disease. So the anxiety rate is really high. Our staff has done an absolutely unbelievable job. Our teachers have of getting lessons together, trying to make sure that we're taking care of the academic needs of the kids. However, we do want parents to know we do not want this to add to their anxieties. Yes, we want to provide well for the kids in this time. We want to make sure that they don't miss a beat. However, once again, do not stress over this. Do not make this something that aggravates the situation at home at all. We're here for you. We want to be able to answer questions. We have basically reinvented the way we do school in about 3 weeks. We're just like every other district in the state in that regard. So a lot has changed. We've handed out Chromebooks where we didn't have them before, and now we've got hotspots that are on the way. Hopefully they'll be here sooner than later so that we can connect people at home. But again, please do not be overwhelmed by what we're sending home. And if you need to communicate, please communicate directly with your teachers and your campus principals, and so that we can make sure that we're getting you the service that you need.
Well, I know people appreciate that because the last thing that we want to do is take an already stressful situation and make it more stressful. And so I know that parents certainly appreciate that. And so, hey, as someone who's now been put in that situation myself, I can say, don't worry, parents. If you get there, if they don't get everything, there's somebody who's going to come alongside and help them later, okay? I think everybody's going to know, especially when you start back in the fall, maybe you're a little bit behind where you want to be, but maybe we can pick it up a little bit, and I'm sure teachers will build that in there too. So I guarantee you that's number one question that most parents are struggling with. How do we relax? Now, I just want to throw this out to both of you. As we're thinking about all the different ways that we need to interact as a community, what are some of the ways that you see that we can help each other as a community? Obviously we can't come close to each other. We can't do a lot of things that we would normally do, but is there anything you see, any way we could step up as a community here?
Which one? Me?
Anybody.
Well, I think the community has stepped up, and I think they will continue to step up. I want to praise not only the food bank, but individuals, businesses that stepped up and helped the one family that is been affected here in town. They were basically overwhelmed with food and supplies, so they could shelter in place and not have to get out. I think we need to continue just to be mindful that, the virus is still out there, and we need to protect ourselves and follow the recommendations and be responsible, and very vigilant with what we do. But I've seen neighbors in the backyard talking to each other just to try to keep communication up and just a visit, but still staying well apart, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that entirely, Mayor Burgess. And we're at such an interesting time in our society. For years now, we've been working on becoming more isolated as far as electronic communication. So often we're neighbors with people that we don't know, and that's a shame. We've lost the front porches off of our house, and we don't have those neighborhoods like we used to. I think we have a golden opportunity to return that part of our society. So, interestingly enough, in this time of forced isolation, we can actually become more connected by simply, if you see something in your neighborhood that needs to be addressed, do something. Several people I've noticed, they just need their lawn mowed, and so go and take an appropriate distance from them, of course, and see if you can mow their grass. A lot of times it's because maybe they've fallen on hard times or whatever the situation is. Help them out. So it's a time to get reconnected with people on a completely different level, and through adversity, we build unbreakable bonds. This is a time of adversity. I mean, that's why you see soldiers called bands of brothers. That's why you see teammates rally for each other. This is a Venus issue where Venus people need to come alongside each other and say, please, what can I do to help? Maintain your distancing. But if you see something, don't just say something, do something.
Yeah,
I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, and I do think that's one of the encouraging things that we are seeing. We are seeing neighbors. That's one of the things that's kind of been weird about Venus. Like we're growing together in population, but we're so busy and scattered out. So it is unique to see us all coming together in different ways. Mayor, just a question that has come in. We see that the city hasn't taken any precautions in terms of extra ordinances. Are we just going to assume that the city won't pass any additional ordinances to Johnson counties or Ellis counties unless something happens in our city? Is that kind of, I know people are just trying to see where everything is. And
well, I think the federal, state, county, CDC have come out with quite a few emergency declarations and recommendations. I think with above that, I guess is what the question is.
Right.
We haven't done any ordinances yet, and I don't foresee that.
Yeah.
I have taken some emergency measures on my own, to help make sure that any citizens that are having a hard time financially, their water will not be cut off.
Right.
There will be no late fees. There will be code enforcement has been suspended. I mean, I don't take that as, freedom just to go out and do anything, because at some point this is going to end.
Right.
But, during the emergency part of this issue, we are doing everything we can as a city staff to mitigate and try to help the citizens.
Yeah. So I think some people just wanted to make sure, because Burleson had to take some immediate action in their context when it was spilling over from Tarrant County. That was a little ahead of Johnson County. I think people were just trying to make sure that they weren't having to get 2 places or 3 places all coordinated. Yeah.
And I understand with us being in part of the city being in Ellis, part of it being in Johnson, there are 2 different county emergency declarations, but they are so similar that right now we haven't had to go above and beyond in creating our own ordinances at this time. Now, we did suspend all permits for gatherings such as the Civic Center, the park. We haven't closed the park. We're still asking for the social distancing down there, but if it was get to be a problem, then we have to look at that. But right now we have not.
So basically, you can still go to the park. You can still do all the things that, if your kids are driving you nuts, you can still go there, put them out in an open field and let them run. But just keep your distance. That's pretty much where we're at on that.
At the moment, I mean, unless it was to get worse, and I'm hoping that this is going to start to get better by the end of the month. But like you say, I have no doctorate degree or science degree, so we'll just have to keep watching the numbers and follow the recommendations.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Hopper, one of the questions that I'm sure you've probably fielded about 4 or 5 times, what are we doing about prom, graduation, all those fun end of the year things? So that's where we want to let you hop on in.
Well, we actually just had several meetings on this about our end of the year events, and taking those one at a time. What we want to do is we want to make sure, first off, the senior year for these kids is huge. Mm-hmm. They've worked so hard for this. Their parents have worked so hard for this. So there's a lot of personal investment, and we don't want them to miss out on any of those things if we can do anything to prevent that at all. So that being the case, what we've heard from our senior class overwhelmingly is, instead of having a virtual ceremony, we would much rather have a delayed ceremony. Yeah. And I can certainly understand that. So right now we're working on a date. In fact, we have picked July the 11th as a potential date for a delayed graduation ceremony, should it be necessary. Now, and going back to what Mayor Burgess said, even the people with the doctorate degrees and those kinds of things, they don't know this either. They don't know when this thing is going to be, when we're going to come out of it. And the day that we gradually start opening businesses and those kinds of things, and I do believe we're about to hear some kind of an announcement from the governor next week. I don't know what he's going to say, but nonetheless, that doesn't mean that we're ready to have large gatherings in football stadiums like the graduation. Yeah. So we can only say that we're working on 2 angles of this. We're going to work on a July 11th date for the graduation, hopefully. But we're also looking at putting on a virtual ceremony, or designing a virtual ceremony in the meantime, just in case. Yeah. So that's the graduation ceremony. We want it to be very special. Either way we do this, we're going to have our valedictorian speech. We're going to have our salutatorian speech. We're going to have our guest speakers speak. It's going to be a nice ceremony. It will not be the year that Venus didn't have a graduation. it will be the year that Venus had the most unique graduation ceremony ever.
All right.
With regard to prom, and we did, by the way, have a Zoom meeting with our seniors this past week, and many of them were on there. We didn't get all of them on the Zoom, but many of them were. And we talked about the idea that prom is a much different type of an animal. We've got to have a venue for that. Well, we had one, and the April 25th, I believe, was the date for that. Well, that's not going to happen, so we had to give up our venue. When would the prom be? Well, again, we're back to we don't know. So trying to schedule a venue for a date that is uncertain is like nailing an egg to the wall. So in terms of being able to schedule that prom, that's going to be a very difficult one. And I don't know how you do a virtual prom, but I'm all ears if anybody wants to have some input on that.
Well, I mean, guys, they don't really dance that much anyway. So, this is going to work out for them perfectly.
Yeah, I think they beg to differ with you on that one, Pastor. I will say this, and let me continue on with some of that, because the next thing we have that is also vitally important are the mini award banquets.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're not going to sit down at a banquet table, but those awards are not going to go ungiven.
Right.
And so we are designing, in the process of designing, some virtual award ceremonies. We're asking our students to record videos. We're asking our teachers to record videos. We are becoming a virtual school through this. So we have to get good at this, and we have to do it real fast. We are consulting people who do this as a vocation as well.
Okay.
But we want to prioritize that.
Yeah. So it sounds like there are lots of different changes. This is one of those times where I think everybody realized we had to get the plane off the ground, and we'll put the wings on it when we're up in the air. I think that's where we're all sort of at. Mayor, we did have a question here. How do the current regulations affect the election scheduled for May 2nd? Do we have any details on that?
Well, I have read through them, and they're long and exhausting, so I won't go through everything. But as far as the campaign signs, they can be put back out 60 days from the date of the election, which will be November the 3rd. You had to be a citizen of the city of Venus and the city limits to run for the city council, 6 months before the day of sign-ups. So being that it's been moved back to November, they have come down from the Secretary of State stating that you cannot sign anybody new up that happened to meet the 6 month criteria because of the move. Only the people that's already signed up will be allowed to run.
So first thing is May elections are now in November.
Absolutely. That was done by city council, by ordinance, but it was recommended by the governor of the state of Texas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there happens to be another election there, so that might help streamline things a little bit.
Well, it also might get more voters in because of the other election.
Yeah. All right. So there it is. Those will be in November. So we'll just sort of chill out, and everything will run in place until then. Mr. Hopper, we had a question here. Is the high school track? Hold on. Where'd it go? Is this high school track open for walking? Seen many questions about this on Facebook. Just need to know.
Absolutely. The high school track is open for walking. The only thing that is closed down in that area with regard to fitness is the fitness center that our staff had been using, as well as Venus PD, for obvious reasons with touching, and we just couldn't keep it clean. The track is open. We do ask people to use their common sense as far as don't get out there and play touch football out there on the football field and violate the distancing regulations. But please, we wanted to keep that. Please come up and use the track. We want to be able to keep that open.
Okay, so good. Just sort of same basic principle as the city parks. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, real quick, Mayor had a question here. What about we know there are restrictions on renting the civic center, the parks. What about garage sales? It's getting that time when people are wanting to do the spring cleaning. I know I believe there are permits for garage sales. How does all of this affect that? A family wanting to do a garage sale, maybe, probably not in April, but maybe early May. Any ideas there?
Well, initially, all garage and yard sales were banned by the state under the
Okay.
governor's declaration. Plus, yes, you have to have a permit. It's not very expensive, but you have to have a permit to have a garage sale. And all permits by the city of Venus that had anything to do with gathering of groups in any way are not being issued. So you can't get a garage sale permit at the moment. Now, I've had a lot of questions on this, and it was like, well, what if we just make them stay in their car and come one at a time? Well, they're still the same people. This person's touching and going through, and you can't sanitize after everybody leaves. So that was the purpose of that. Now, as far as April, end of May or June, we'll just have to see what the governor, how they're going to roll out the process of opening things back up. But right now, it's all, there's no permits being issued for garage sales or yard sales.
Okay, so we'll just have to play it by ear, wait to see what the governor says, how everything pans out there.
Well, right now it's just through the 30th of this month. And we'll have to see what is extended past then.
Okay, all right. Well, I know, Mr. Hopper, the school has been working on some things to help the city. Would you like to share some of those with us?
Oh, one of the things we're doing, we've got about 6 3D printers here in the school district, and we've deployed those 3D printers to some locations to begin producing some masks for our first responders. Currently, we can print up several masks per day. The problem is the little paper filter that you see in the front. The filter itself is cut from these the regular masks that you see. You would see the N95s, I think they're called. Mm-hmm. So that's what that material is. And so it's not just a coffee filter or a paper towel. While that would certainly keep certain things out, this is what you want attached to this. So we've got those back ordered. Those are very difficult to find. The reason we would print these up is now you could take one of those masks and you can make several filters out of one mask. We do have a shipment of those coming in on the 20th, but until then, we continue to print these. And we also will have elastic straps to go around this and some lining along the inside of it here so that it can fit snugly to the face. But these are for our Venus first responders, and so we're getting those produced as quickly as we can. So our kudos to our staff and Mrs. Catherine Roberts, who is our mask czar.
There, I'm sure Chief Groom appreciates that greatly. Although, if you've got an N95 mask and you would like to donate that so that the first responders here in Venus could do that, you can drop a comment here and we'll get you in touch with the superintendent and they'll get you to the place you need to go because that would be a great help. I especially want those people on those front lines as they keep us safe, being safe themselves. Cool. All right. Let's see. Real quick, Mr. Hopper, the school's still doing the meals pickups there?
We are.
Okay.
We're going to a new schedule literally next week.
Okay.
We've tried to have different locations serving people. And but one of the things we realized was taking place is that we're asking people to get out every day and come pick up these meals. Mm-hmm. And so what we're going to do, we've already posted this, but beginning on Tuesday of this coming week, we'll have one location, and it's going to be at our elementary campus, and it's going to be from 10:30 to 12 o'clock on Tuesday, but you'll be able to pick up the meals for the whole week. Okay. So we're going to have one location, one day, each week, but you'll come one time and you'll get the meals for the whole week. And so what we wanted to do is try to make it to where when people are trying to stay home and stay away as they're being asked to do, we're not complicating the issue by asking them to get out every day.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I know that's there. If you know somebody who needs that help, we all know it's a bit of a crazy thing. I mean, making lunches every day can be hard. Then add financial difficulties. Please pass that information on. Share that on Facebook. However, we need to get that word out. We want to make sure that there is no child, no family in this community who is not cared for. So please, please, please pass that information along. And along that line, if you know someone who is struggling, any kind of financial difficulties, you can reach out to us here at the church. We'll try to put you in contact with some people. We'll try to put you in contact with people who can help. If obviously, if you're saying, hey, we need a $1,200 rent, that may be a little difficult, but we can work with people as best we can. We can try to connect them with resources. A quick question, Mr. Hopper, about those lunches. Are the school meals available for all students or just the students previously qualified for free lunch?
No, these are for all students.
All students.
All students up to 18 years old. So
up to 18 years old.
They do need to come with their parents. We're not going to, as they show up, we're not going to count noses. Just come in and if you've got them with you, and we'll load you up for the week.
Okay.
At this point.
Awesome. I know there's some parents right now who need to hear that because you're stressing over lunches that you didn't have to make before, and that's now putting a bigger thing. So pass that along. That would be great information. Yes.
If I could also. And you sort of touched on it, but just to clarify, if you know of somebody who does not have access to transportation to come pick them up, or for whatever reason there's a hardship that prevents them to come and pick them up, please call and let us know. Mm-hmm. And we'd email. You can contact us in a variety of ways, and we want to meet those needs.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Well, gentlemen, I know we're running a little thin on time here, so I do want to just ask you really quick, Mayor, you said City Council will be having their monthly meeting via Facebook. Obviously, we can't put all the people, or not via Facebook, it'll be via live stream. Can't put all the people together in the chambers. So you sent me a link. I will post that down there. Is there anything about that anybody needs to know? Anything out of the ordinary?
At this time, the Secretary of State's allowed us to close it to all the public.
Right.
But we have to have a live stream to make it fit within the Open Meetings Act. But there would be no people allowed into the Civic Center from the public arena. Right. We're offering also the City Council members that want to stay home, they can live stream in and be counted as present. Wish everyone would take the opportunity to check it out, and I certainly just hope it works. I mean, we've tried this a couple of times, and somehow, I don't know if it's the internet or what, but it hasn't gone through the last couple of months. But we're running a lot of test runs, and we're really hopeful that it's going to work this time.
Well, yeah, it always works until you actually go live. So I understand that perfectly.
Yeah, we've noticed that.
Yeah, I mean, I had a sermon, right? I was right about 5 minutes left in the sermon and the video cut. And so, yeah, been there. All right, well, really quickly, gentlemen, just last minute or two, one quick question for you. What are the 1 to 2 resources, people that you would like to direct people to if they have a question, a comment, a concern, just that one point of contact that is there just for helping people? What would that be? Superintendent Hopper, we'll start with you there.
Well, I started off this thing talking about anxiety, and one of the things I want to do is, again, touch on that. Our school counselors are available. The campus level counselors are available from 9 a.m. to 1 o'clock during school days for immediate feedback. And certainly if you If you call them outside of that, they'll get the message and get back to you. But between 9 o'clock and 1 p.m., you can have immediate feedback from those counselors each of those school days for these issues that come up. So again, that's with your kids, so we want to be able to address that. Also, I was asked to touch base with so much of what we do at the school and what happens at the city, and even some of our community civic groups sort of intertwine. So the food pantry, don't forget that is the first Tuesday of every month from 5 to 7, and that's going to be at the Civic Center. So the first Tuesday of every month.
Yeah, and on that, I will say you will want to plan to get there early. Last time Alvarado ran out, and they sent their people over here. So I believe last time, man, they were set up about 2:30, and they were already cranking it out. So those the ladies at Venus Cares are on top of it. So they'll send out a reminder. We'll post that out as well. Just kind of keep that on your radar. First Tuesday of every month. All right, Mr. Mayor, anything, any 1 to 2 resources people you'd like to direct the folks of Venus to if they need some help here?
Well, I have quite a few resources, but I think the best thing for people to do if they have a need is just email me at mayorburgess@thecityofvenus.org, and you can put a link to that below. And then depending on what their needs are, then I'll direct them to the proper resources. I've had so many businesses, the food bank here in town, Venus Cares monthly food bank, that individual citizens offering to help. We don't want anybody, because of these uncertain financial times, going to bed hungry and are sick and need help. We just reach out to me and I'll get the resources directed to them. Lastly, I want to thank, the First Baptist Church of Venus and you, Pastor Alan Davidson, for putting this together and giving the citizens the opportunity to reach out and get some answers and voice their concerns.
Well, hey, I like this a whole lot better than a political debate because nobody's yelling and nobody's upset. So I'm happy to do this. So thankful for you guys because I know you have a lot of things going on in your day. I'm sure it didn't rain like it was supposed to. So maybe if you've got some yard work, you can get it done while it's cool. But I know you guys have so much. So I know the people of Venus are so thankful for you taking time out of your day to address their concerns. So just want to say thank you to you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. If you have any questions, anything that comes up in the next couple of days, feel free to go ahead, drop a comment in the section below, and we'll come back to those, circle back to them, and we will try to get those answered to you in the best way possible. All right? Well, thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon, and we will, join us tomorrow for service here at First Baptist Church right here on Facebook or on YouTube, and then have a great Easter weekend.